Hi, my name is Kylie Donahue, and I'm a mechanical engineering student at the University of New Hampshire and founder of Startup Imagine Institute to inspire young girls to pursue ambitious fields in which they are underrepresented, such as engineering. We've created a toy to educate young girls about paths they may have never considered, inspire them to have big dreams of their own, and build their confidence so that they believe in those dreams and actually pursue them. Our three-part approach to the toy includes a story, doll, and activity kit about a student who attends Imagine Institute, where students learn by doing. The student for our first toy will be Emma, an engineering student who, much to her surprise, is sent to Mars to help fix the rover and learn about problem solving along the way. The doll of Emma, with realistic body proportions, is a relatable role model in every way. Finally, the activity kit teaches girls about basic engineering, like robotics, electronics, simple machines, and shows them that they have the potential to be great engineers too. In this case, the activity would be building the Mars rover that Emma fixes in the book. If we win, we will be able to make our prototype designs come to life, allowing us to launch a successful crowdfunding campaign and bring our line of Imagine Institute toys to the masses.
Okay, so as you said, my name is Kylie Donahue, and I'm a senior mechanical engineering student here at UNH, as are my teammates Emily Hutchinson and Brandon Paul. And we're very excited to tell you today about Imagine Institute, our startup to increase the number of women in leadership roles in underrepresented fields. And gender inequality is a huge problem of global importance, because if we have any hope to solve all of our challenging problems, we really do need all of our best talent working to solve them. So as you can see, this problem spans across all disciplines and for both genders, but we're going to first focus on engineering because that is our background, has been our inspiration, and is the first gender gap that Imagine Institute will work to eliminate. So this is a problem very near and dear to us because, as you can see, although over half of UNH is made up of female students, Emily and I are two of the 10 girls in our mechanical engineering class, which is of 140 students, so 10 out of 140, it's only 7%. And we thought for a while about why this is and did a lot of work with local elementary schools, and at our last trip we asked the girls, what do you want to be when you grow up? And over half of them said either a vet, a fashion designer, or an artist. And while these can be very rewarding careers, there's little to no chance that those three best represent the passions of all those different girls. And we realized that it was because they really don't know what else is out there and they lack role models in other fields.
So our solution to this is Imagine Institute, which is with our three-step approach, including a doll, story, and activity kit. All right, so first the doll. So Emma is a relatable role model in every way. She's going to be our engineering inspiration and is going to follow along these paths as she travels to Mars and makes an engineering activity kit. So next we have the story, which is going to be through pictures and words, is going to sort of describe the whole thing and help the girls with instructions on easy tasks to complete through the engineering. And next is our activity kit, which is going to be, we made this design through 3D solid modeling. It's going to be our Mars rover, which is going to be roaming the landscape. And Emma and the girls that are going through the activity kit are going to be working through small engineering feats of simple machines and electronics in order to complete this mission. So this isn't just what Emma's going to do. Emma is also going to be able to travel around to different places, be a first mate on a pirate ship and learn about buoyancy one day, and maybe travel to the Colosseum and learn about structural instabilities. But all of her other classmates can also travel around and learn through different disciplines, such as neuroscience. You can travel through the brain stem and learn how neurons transmit, or she can be in the courtroom and learn how government works and all of that sort of stuff.
Since we have a segmented market, our target market are girls between the ages of 6 to 9. And who are going to be playing with the toy, as long as their parents who are going to be buying the toy. The parents are generally going to consist of college-educated, between the middle and upper class. And the market, like our estimated market size, is approximately 11 million girls, according to the United States Census Bureau from their 2010 analysis. To meet such a large market size, we would take a lot of advertising avenues, such as parenting, homeschool magazines, along with donating toys to different like outreach programs in schools. Oh, sorry. So for our estimated timeline, we hope to have our prototype made by September 2015, develop our beta by April 2016, prepare to launch our crowdfunding campaign in July 2016, and then fully launch our crowdfunding campaign in August 2016, and then go into full launch by December 2016 in time for Christmas.
And we came up with some financial projections based on similar products with similar target markets. And we've also done research on all the parts we would need to create our initial prototype. And we've calculated that we need $8,000 to make our prototype and our video to launch a really successful crowdfunding campaign. And that would mean that we would be able to make $150,000. That's our crowdfunding goal, which would mean selling 2,800 units through that campaign. And as you can see, we have different prices pre and post campaign, because when you do these campaigns, you usually sell at a lower price to entice initial backers. And also, you can't, the point of it is so that you can get the funds to mass market your product and get a greater gross margin after you complete the campaign. So we looked into competition, and there is competition, but like the first example is Miss Possible, which is about a story about historical characters like Marie Curie to get girls into science. The middle is a doll with realistic body proportions, unlike Barbie, and the last is a construction kit for girls that are younger. And we feel that we have a strong advantage over them because we combine all three, which goes along with the theory of planned action that says if you want to get someone to act a certain way, you need to make something both feasible and desirable. And our doll and story make these enticing careers and desirable, and our activity kit makes the girls see that they can do it too. It makes it feasible. And as you can see, our goal of $150,000 through crowdfunding really is very feasible. All of these competitors did it on a similar budget to us. And I would like to point out that our product would not really be a substitute. We can also sell to the same people who might be interested in these products. So we want you to imagine with us a world in which girls truly believe they can be anything they want to be. Support us because we have a proven model and are very passionate about this. Believe we can do it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had a question about your approach related to this, because I think it's a fantastic concept, and I think it's needed. I was wondering if in this pitch that I was able to get out of it, are you suggesting that you folks will design the dolls, arrange for all the manufacturing, different things like that, or do you anticipate and host the website and create, deal with all the different facets of manufacturing and design and marketing and everything, or have you thought about the opportunity of just maybe refining this concept and bringing it to a retailer that might be able to package this up and have you scale this to a really large market that you're talking about? Are you talking about doing yourself?
Yeah,
most of the pieces.
Yeah, we're thinking that we would launch the campaign ourselves because we think it's really feasible to. You really just need a good video and a demonstration of your product, and people are really apt to find products like this because you have people that are really passionate about the motivation behind it, and so all they really need to see is a demonstration of what they would be buying, and we believe we can portray that through video or our own.
Would you focus on schools first, so kind of that concept, or you think it'd be just a web marketing kind of
We
approach
would
in there?
definitely, I mean, we gave, our timeline gave like a good chunk of time just for preparing for the campaign because you'd need to make sure you had everyone in your network like aware when you were launching, and schools are definitely a big part of it. We're pretty involved around, especially the local elementary schools around here, so we definitely like to tell all the teachers who know. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so I've got a 5-year-old at home, and if I buy your product and I bring it home, what's the probability that she's going to be an engineer?
So we're not really concerned with trying to make girls become engineers. The idea is that they learn what it is and see it as an exciting thing versus the stereotypical, you're in a cube with a bunch of older men working with you. So the idea is that we kind of expose them to it, and as we said, we want to scale it to be to encompass other disciplines as well. Eventually, we want to start with engineering, but we'd love to have an entrepreneurial doll or a doll studying marine bio. But there's no really fun way to introduce your kids to these role models besides our product that we found. So.
Okay, because I also have a 22-year-old who's in college, and she's studying
Yeah.
communication, and she used to play with her brother's blocks and Legos,
Yeah.
but they weren't pink and purple, so they didn't last long in her area playing, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm curious about, have you worked with a child psychologist to figure out the way to approach this so that they do become really accepting of this? I didn't see that in the budget here to have that part of the marketing done, because if Hasbro is going to introduce a new toy,
Yeah.
they go through an awful lot of studies and tests and talk to life psychologists to figure
Yeah,
out
absolutely.
what is the activity, or what is the color combination, or what is the proper sizing of this toy that makes it interesting to make sure it hits the target market. So
Right.
are you going to just jump into it without doing all that study, or are you going to go a different direction here and actually do some homework first?
We've gone to a lot of local elementary schools and have talked to a lot of the kids themselves, shown them our drawings, asked them like, if you were to make something, what would you be interested in making? So we've been trying to sort of do our own research in that fact, sort of seeing what colors girls are interested in. I mean, obviously, besides the pink and purple,
Right.
but sort of scanning colors and designs and other sort of stuff of that sort in order to do our own sort of studies recently.
I think we can get a lot of that information free before we launch our crowdfunding. That's once we have the funds, then we would invest it in some professional help. But before that, we think we can get enough market research done on our own to give us a good idea.
Okay, great.
I think you've got a very strong relevance for the idea. And so the first question is, what are you doing to protect the concept? So this is one where, you know, if toy companies find out about it, they might want to run with it themselves before you even get there. So what are you doing to protect what you have? I mean, first of all, you have to define what it is you're trying to protect and see if you can protect it. But I'm just trying to see if you've done anything yet.
Yeah, we've talked to IP people here, and it sounds like we would mostly be protecting our brand, like our name, our logo. And we really have to build that brand and make it known so that competitors couldn't overtake us.
That's hard, but I think you have to also protect the concept, which is the relationship between, you know, these three elements. And if you can protect that relationship, then I think you might have something that you can run with. The next set of questions are more around the mechanics. You reference in here a toy consultant. Have you talked with somebody who's been in the toy industry but is not working for a toy company today, or?
We sought one out that has recommended us to someone who's worked with dolls before that we have not yet heard back from.
Mhm.
But we think we're pursuing that currently because we think that's the best way to make sure we can get it mass manufactured. We want to have a total plan of how we're going to fulfill our orders once we.
Right, I think you will need that, because in order to appeal to the toy company who's going to have to help you at some point, you have to have what's in it for them and why they should be motivated to work with you. The next thing is you reference, you have received some grant money or endorsement. Have you looked into other opportunities around that angle for influential organizations to endorse this concept, to get something official, again, giving you more strength to the concept?
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking to like people at the National Conference for Society of Women Engineers and personally involved with that are really interested, and we're building that network, but there's no other options like that really in life, but receiving that support from IBM was helpful.
Okay,
And
just one more question, and that is, when you talked about, I think partnering with somebody to make the product, they may have certain minimum quantities that you, in order to make a manufacturing run, and I'm just wondering if you factored in that working capital. Somebody has to own that, and I don't think a toy company would manufacture on spec, so somebody's going to have to take possession of the inventory, and I don't know how much that would be, but a toy consultant could help you, I think, on understanding how much product you'd have to start out with. And I'm just wondering, again, as part of your funding, you might want to, look at that, because that will be a chunk of working capital that sits in inventory for a period of time. And particularly since seasonally, I think a lot of these products do sell somewhere near the Christmas season. And the order pattern for manufacturers is really springtime. So there's a long period where you've got inventory before it's actually placed, unless you can get them to take possession. Literally ship it to them, and they sit on it. Well, or they sit on it in a warehouse, which is unusual. But I'm just saying, from a capital perspective, that it's going to be that may be the biggest chunk of capital that you're going to need for getting launched. So.
Are you talking about for like developing the prototype? Or
No, it's beyond that. So once you've got a prototype and you're making some units that you want to actually sell,
Okay.
even if you're going to sell online,
Okay. Gotcha.
they have to be sitting somewhere to be fulfilled.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess the word novelty is you're targeting women and you want to inspire them outside some of the stereotypes or paradigms that their own imagination is sometimes not enough. So you've got a story that goes with something and it's interactive, and that's great. I mean, that's, sometimes people don't have that inspiration or that target. They're too young to know and be guided. So it seems to me, number one, being protective of that relationship is something. It's just not a book with stand-up pictures in it or something. I mean, this is something, I grew up with some things like that, but it always left to my imagination, or, not, kids don't read directions, at least I didn't. But having said that, if you protect that, then it's your storylines that are really important. And so where you draw those storylines and how you interact with the concepts that you're trying to, display, is really key. So I don't think a toy consultant's going to tell you that, but he's going to tell you exactly what you need from there. But if that creative side is going to be very, very critical to whether people bite down on it or not, I would presume. And there's so much opportunity in engineering to reach for things that get kids to tinker and do stuff. So I mean, it's overwhelming.
it is.
But when I read that, the protection of the stories, that just jumped out at me. Those storylines are going to be very, very powerful to your product, because that's going to make people look, oh, that's cool, that's different.
Right.
Especially, the boy's going to want to take it from the girl, probably. But it's it's all about inspiring and giving a target of inspiration. I mean, I grew up with a book in the late 50s, early 60s. Someday you will go to the moon, before Kennedy made his speech.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it was, I did, but, and I remember the book very well. It inspired me, so protecting those stories or developing those before you present at that next level, I think would be key, and then protecting them.
I didn't see anything about insurance. You talk about the liability of a toy, especially when you got young kids in the house, because your target market, I believe, is 3 to 6 year olds, but there's often a 2-year-old.
6 to 9.
6 to 9. Okay, so there's often a 2-year-old in the same house. So choking hazards and all the rest of it. So can you tell me a little bit about how you factored in understanding the liability of a toy?
Well, we know that we wanted a toy that the children could make that themselves. They didn't need parental help, just in case that some didn't have it. We're aware that we can't use very small parts, but besides that, we haven't given a ton of thought to it, to be honest.
Okay.
I feel like most of our thought has been towards what we need to do to launch our campaign so that we have funds to investigate this sort of thing. Because right now, thinking about needing hundreds of thousands of dollars to hire people to consult about safety and consult about marketing is just too much to bite off, I feel like. And especially with, I mean, I love the crowdfunding platform, and there have been so many people that have been able to be successful off of making most of their money off that, and doing kind of that background research for the mass production afterwards.
All set?
Okay, that's it.
We're okay.
Now we'll finish your presentation.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.